Hey, everybody, this is Liz, and I have someone today that you've never met who is not ready. And I am going to have a great time with Michael Joel out of control today. And he is never late, and he's 17 minutes late. Does he want to tell us why?
No, I wasn't late. I came on, but I was just finishing up our live webinar and the site, the front end sales site broke because too many people were getting onto it. So we had to fix it.
Whoa, this is a good problem. I love it.
Yeah.
So, what'd you do today?
What I do today?
Yeah,
Today I woke up. I
that's
walked
good.
almost 7 miles on my
No
walking treadmill,
way.
which is right below me. And then I went and ran stairs.
My
This
goodness.
morning I was creating the presentation for the webinar and then had the webinar. I did a live stream for Copilot members, what we call office hours. So it's a good day.
That is awesome. Well, I've been at Command Center since 6:30 this morning. Had an awesome interview with Amber Connor from Georgia. That was pretty great. Can't wait to share that with everyone. But the thought behind interviewing you was because a couple weeks ago we had a conversation, and I said, you know what? Nobody knows that about you. I should interview you.
What
And
was
so
that? I don't remember.
I'm going to ask you about it. We
Oh,
can actually
I don't know.
start with that.
Okay.
So a lot of people that we know listen to Clark Howard. And what year did you start listening
Used
to
to.
him?
He's old. He's
Is
off
he?
the
Does
air,
he?
I think.
He doesn't
I
have
don't know.
anything going on?
I don't know. I don't think he's like really stayed up with times. He's not like a Dave Ramsey that's kind of stayed up with social media and everything as much. But yeah, Clark Howard. I used to listen to him as a kid because I wanted to be a financial advisor, so I would listen to him on the radio. I could definitely do his opening jingle to his radio show.
Let's hear it. Go.
You're listening to the Clark Howard Show. Da-na-na-na. Kind of
That's
like
awesome.
this. Can you hear this? Can you hear that? No. Oh, sick. Here.
Cannot.
Oh snap! It's not
Da-da.
coming through. Anyways,
Yeah,
I
I
thought I
can
had it
hear.
on my. Oh, you could
I
hear it.
can.
Oh, okay.
I can hear a band.
Oh, okay.
Da-da-da-dun-dun, or something. Anyway, can you tell us about when you actually met him?
Yeah, I was speaking at an event down in San Diego, and we just basically got hopped into an Uber together. But he was main keynote speaker. I was just like on a side stage.
And did you guys have any kind of stimulating conversation or anything memorable in that short ride?
Nothing really. No, I would have only been like 20 or 21 at the time, probably.
And what
But
were you
no, we
going
just
there to
chatted.
speak on?
I don't remember what I talked about. It was just a small stage. I don't remember. It was maybe just a few hundred people. I forget though.
Was that around the time that you had created your protein shake and your protein machine?
Oh,
Wasn't that why
probably
you flew
around
down
that.
there?
No, no, no. It was FinCon, the event that I
Oh,
went
okay,
to.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
Um,
Can you
but yeah, no,
share about that protein
the
drink?
protein thing. Oh Lord. So in our MBA, in my MBA class, it's Masters in Business Administration. One of the final projects was like create a marketing plan, and it was a really cool course. That was one of the ones I enjoyed. And so my partner and I was like, hey, I don't want to just do a marketing plan. Like, let's actually go start a business this quarter. So we went down to California, got like this whole thing built, and it basically was you would put dry, like in the back of we have different types of whey protein, and then they could choose from a big 27-inch touchscreen which kind they wanted, and it would make it like fresh. And so
Sweet.
the thing is this, there wasn't enough differentiation because the difference is literally you bring your whey protein and water yourself and you mix it up, which ours is exactly the same, but you get around like the whole like having to mix it and keep it with you and all the rest of it. Or you just get one of those the drinks that are now pretty popular, which are shelf stable, and you just shake them up and you drink it.
Right.
So there was enough differentiation between that and the competition. And but yeah, we built the
That
whole thing. It's called Bio Shakes. And we built the whole logo. It was this big old vending machine. Went down to Corona, California, and got the manufacturer, the whole 9 yards. Developed the software for the touch screen. Yeah, good times.
So that's not why you didn't do it though. You actually had contracts to go into some gyms, didn't you?
Yeah, but, like yeah, so we had some contracts to go in gyms, but, like, the big thing was that the technology that we were using, Coca-Cola had a problem with it because it was a vending machine. So they put, like, tons of patents out there that basically prevent people from doing competition because they have a bunch of money. And so one of them had to do with the way we were using in the back end, like the way how we were converting powder into the drink. And
Mm.
so they didn't like that. So we tried to get around it by doing that's why we actually flew down to Corona, California is to meet the manufacturer and try to get around it. Um, but eventually it was like, hey, this is supposed to be a project. And now this is turning into a legal dispute. We have zero revenue, so let's just cut the cord. And it was also when like Augusta started taking off. So I was just like, hey, I'm just done with this.
Yeah, and where did those machines end up?
Um, it's a great question. It's
One of
literally in
them was in your
Nav's.
parents' garage, I remember.
Yeah, and then I moved it to Nav's garage. He had a big
Nav
house.
was your partner.
Yeah, and so he's in Bellingham still. But yeah, I don't even know what happened to it. I don't care. I hope it went to the
I think
dump.
I think most of the listeners know about our Keto Cups and our great adventure there that ended right at the time of COVID. And I think we had put what $70,000, $150,000. We spent a bunch of money on that, didn't we?
Yeah, but we got all it back because we got a couple big orders from different subscription boxes. So it was like a break even effort, but it was a lot of work for nothing. Besides just like learning, I learned a lot. Fortunately, it was during our slow season. It was during winter, and it was before like Command Center was even a thing. It was like that year we started Command Center
Mhm.
and everything. So it was like again just another distraction. Same thing with BioShakes. Same thing with Reset Mind and Body. We
Mhm.
literally we're gonna like build this place where you can do like red light therapy, float tanks, yoga, meditation, saunas, all this other garbage. Oh, ice baths before they were popular. And so I went and signed a 5-year lease at a really, really nice facility. And that cost me like 100 grand to get out of. But yeah, I'm glad we're just starting this podcast on a real strong note. All my losses.
What I found fascinating is why that guy was such a shark, but you kept saying, "Well, that's business. That's business. I got to pay for this till the end of my lease." And he was a hardcore. He was doing it for the money. He was doing it the way he was supposed to, but I just couldn't get why they were making you spend another $70,000 till it was over.
Well, I signed a lease. It's my fault. He could have brought me to the ringer and charged me for the full lease term. Once you sign a lease, you have a legal
It's
binding
true.
contract.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so a lot of people didn't know about that. We have what's called
Pizza Hut is now there at
that's
that
pretty cool.
location. That's who took
That's
over the
cool.
lease for me.
We have it's not a franchise. It's an owner operated kind of kind of franchise, but we only have I think 20 locations here in Washington state, and that is Woods Coffee. And the owner, Wes Herman, for those who don't know, you actually wrote a book called Local Leaders, and we interviewed him for this book, and he owns all of these Woods coffees. So, what did you do with him one time with an idea that you had?
I had an idea with
Did you
Wes
already
Herman.
forget? Yeah, did you already forget? This is great. You had a protein bar that you brought in there to introduce to them to see if maybe they could put in their store.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yes.
Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, so oh man, that's so bad. So yeah, I had these bars my mom would make me. They're good, really good. Um, and I remember I met him. I would have been like,
2.
no, like
I'm
I must have been
kidding.
like 12 or 13.
You were
And
young.
I literally took these bars, met him, and I brought him in Tupperware containers. Like it was so dumb. And I just didn't know what I was doing. But he took me so seriously. He was like got me a drink, like sat down, went over all the numbers and everything.
I
He was
love
great.
that.
He was a good sport. I had no idea what I was doing. That's funny. I
Did
totally forgot about that.
Does
I don't
he
even remember the
know?
name of those. What was the name of those? Do you
I
remember?
don't know, some kind of protein bar that you made.
I know exactly what it's called. It's called charge bars.
Charged
Let
bars,
me see
that's
here.
great.
1 second. 1 second. Charge. Let me see if I can pull up.
Do you think they're
Let me see if it
online anywhere? What
Oh, no, no, right here. I got it. I got this. Hey, wait, someone's at my door. I don't know what they want. Okay,
uh-oh.
I think I can get oh, yeah, yeah, here oh, turkey sandwich. Here, check this out. Okay, this is funny. This is funny. The Becca. Okay, this is okay, what year is this? That's, oh my goodness, I would have been, like, 17. It was older than I
I
thought.
thought you were older, yeah.
Yeah,
When
okay,
you
alright,
when
here
you
we go.
interviewed him, did he know you were that kid? Did you remind him when you interviewed him for the book?
Yeah, we talked about when I interviewed for the book, but that was still a few years ago.
Did he
That the
remember
book
you?
thing. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, oh, yeah, he remembered me, yeah. Okay,
We
here,
ended up
check this out.
Okay, go.
Oh, sick. Whoa, 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 I just accidentally shared it with the team on Slack. Whoa, whoa, no, wrong way.
That's
Okay.
awesome. They're all gonna go try to go buy charge bars.
Yeah, no kidding. Here, 1 second. Whoa! I
I
gotta
highly
download oh, this is
recommend
an
these, he
EPS
said.
file. What why in the world? Here, 1 second, I have to screenshot it. These are EPS files. 1 second. Okay, this isn't gonna be like a great image because it's I'm just screenshot, but let me pull this up. Okay, I'm gonna pull this into here. See, this is
You
why you
wanna
have good email management, Liz, is so you can pull up pictures like this 10 years later. Ready for
That
it?
is epically cool, yes, I wanna see.
Chrome tab.
So far later that you wouldn't have even
Okay.
remembered that you ever did it.
Yeah. Can you see
Oatmeal
that?
raisin, yeah, 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 one looks kinda pink and one looks kind of orange.
Yeah, this
The
this is
pink
only from the design phase. So this is Becca was my designer on this. So she was from I had met her in school. So she was doing my designs.
I don't usually like pink, but the pink one looks the best there.
Pink? There's no pink.
Okay, well, that's the fault of your screenshot.
Oh, probably is. It's drawing in from an EPS file, so it's yeah, not great.
Okay, we're gonna hop on. So when you were a kid, you started looking at and caring about investments. How did you even get that inkling? Did you talk to somebody you knew? Did you sit in a room with some guys that were talking about investing? What was the spark? You were pretty little.
I wanted to make a lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And
I
did you think
originally
that
wanted to
was
be a
the way?
financial advisor. Originally I wanted to be a financial advisor. So I read like all sorts of books about making money, mostly personal finance stuff. So used to know actually more about bonds than I do now. Maybe not. But I used to know a lot about bonds and stocks. I understood like how the stock market works. I still do, but like I really read a lot and yeah, all about personal finance, 401ks, IRAs. That was my jam. And then I got into I was in grade 8. I had skipped grade 7, and I remember my teacher, I overheard him telling my mom that financial advisor was a little bit below my pay grade. Like I should do more with my life.
Wow.
So, yeah, but then I was already, like, really into medicine, really into nutrition, all that sort of thing. Like, the financial advisor thing was like, "Hey, I like, I think I can make a lot of money." And
Mhm.
so I think I over indexed on how much money I was gonna make as a personal, financial advisor, which is not as good as a surgeon, by the way. But, yeah, as I was like, 10, 11, 12, then it switched over to become a doctor.
Around that time, around 8th grade, I think you started to get into health and wanting to be healthy. What was the
Yeah,
spark
because
for
I had
that?
acne. Because I had
Yes.
acne.
Yeah, and so you
So I was
had it
nutrition class in grade 8 with Mr. Chermans, he was my teacher, and, it was a good nutrition class, and I started running, laps during, lunch break and started eating an apple, which I thought was healthy, and, started being healthier, and then but I really what pushed me to do it was because of my acne. So, like, if I had potato chips, if I had pizza, if I had that stuff, I could immediately, like, within 15 minutes, I could feel my face
crazy.
get really oily, and so I used to have really, really bad acne, like, really bad. So and I still have, like, little scars kinda here,
Mhm, mhm.
a little bit. So, but yeah, that's what originally what sparked it was acne.
And how has it evolved over time? How is your
What,
whole
my pimples?
yeah, your acne, how did it dissolve would be the perfect word for that. But no,
I got through puberty.
in college. You were in puberty in college. So over time, though, has it changed much? You still don't eat processed foods or don't want to eat processed foods. So, kind of what's your mentality and how do you eat now?
Well, I can really feel when I eat bad food. So as much as it tastes good, I know that I will pay for it for like
What's
24
bad
to 48
food?
hours.
I mean, there's some things that you wouldn't touch with a
Any
10-foot pole.
anything that's processed, I would say isn't healthy, like for my definition. But if it's like really oily, if it is lots of sugar, especially like I like half of it's probably mental, like knowing that I have it in my brain. Therefore, it's like, but I do feel gross. And like when I monitor my sleep a lot. I monitor how I'm feeling on my heart rate, stuff like that. And I don't monitor in terms of like measure it as much as like I'm very cognizant of how those things are impacting me. And so when I eat bad, I have a very direct correlation to being less sharp, not feeling as energetic, needing more sleep, uh, not being able to lift as heavy, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's just like, oh, like if it's not optimizing my life, then I should probably not eat it.
Well, number one, from the standpoint of you not wanting to spend the money, but number two, probably thinking that red meat wasn't all that great for you. You've been eating a lot more meat
It
lately.
was
So,
too
how do you,
expensive. It
yeah, is
was
that
too
what you're
expensive. I never had steak for a long, long time. Not like I didn't ever have it. I just don't
right?
order steak when I go out to eat typically back in the day because like I just didn't have money. Now I have a little more money, so I eat a lot more steak. And then it was definitely cool to see all the changes you made in terms of the carnivore diet. So I'm not carnivore, but definitely seeing it impact your life and you being able to improve your health inspired myself and I think several other family members to eat more meat. So let's go.
And how have you found that to affect your fitness and your workouts? Anything? Any change?
Not really. I don't think so. But I have always been pretty healthy. Um, thankfully. So, I would say I probably bulked up a little bit, but I would directly correlate to the meat because I also was
Okay,
lifting heavier.
right.
So, but you can sleep way less if all you eat afternoon is meat. I know this for a fact. If you have more carbs, I'll usually get tired in the afternoon, and then when I
Mhm.
wake up the next morning, if it's like less than 4 hours, I'll feel a lot more groggy. Whereas if like you can pull a lot more less sleep nights with just meat.
A
Just
lot
saying.
more less sleep nights, a lot more less.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's profound. Yeah, so tell us about, well, let me preface that by saying I have a lot of people ask me why we had that logo with the golf ball and why we had it on the side of our trucks. And a lot of people know why we got rid of that. It's because the association down there thought it was too close to theirs. But
Augusta
what?
National
Yes. So what did I say? The
Association.
organization?
You're good.
The association, the organization, and so we had to change it when we became Augusta. But how
Mhm.
in the world did you even get interested in golf?
We lived on a golf course that had it was a par 3 golf course. I was trying to find the picture here of our original logo by just searching on Google, but I know it's in my other account, but I'm not gonna go there. Anyways, um, yeah, we lived on a golf course. It was a par 3 golf course. How it originally started is my school that I went to in primary school that had a golf tournament every year.
Mm,
And so I remember we played as a family. We did a foursome as part of this like golf tournament charity thing. And so I remember thinking, man, if I put my mind to this, I could get really good at it. And so that's what I did. I spent like 10 like I would basically so that was the year I started homeschooling for the 1 year and did grade 9 and 10 in 1 year. So I played every single day. Um I never miss a day. The most I ever missed was 1 day for Sundays. And if I missed like 2 or 3 days, it seemed like it was catastrophic. I would play every single day. I would literally just do my work for an hour or 2, and then I'd work, and then I would do golf the rest of the day, and I'd work mowing grass. Like, that was, like, my life for a few years. So, yeah, that's what got started with golf. We lived on this par 3 golf course, and that's the same neighborhood that we started mowing grass in.
and you went to state, so you actually competed, right?
Yeah, I was pretty good. I was a scratch golfer. I was, how old was I? I would have been
Young.
like 15, 16.
Mhm.
So when I got to my last couple years of college, that's when I pulled the plug on it. I realized that I was not 6'3", 300 pounds, couldn't drive the ball as far as everyone else. I still played good though because I could putt really well and
Mhm.
chip really well,
Mhm.
and but I couldn't hit the ball as far. So when the course started getting like 7,500 yards, that's when it started to be very clear to Michael that he was not going to be a professional golfer, and so I gave up that. I went from playing every single day to not playing for a year in one day. I just decided that I wasn't going to play any more golf, and the
That
reason I
sounds
did
like
that is because
Mike.
it's very frustrating to play golf and not be good at golf. And I was used to being good at golf, so the comparison would not be good. So I don't play golf now at all.
Well, golf is an expensive sport. How did you afford your all of your stuff? Your clothes?
Oh, this is tricky. So,
It is.
we lived on this golf course. Well, it's a very cheap, trashy par 3 golf course. It doesn't even
Ah.
exist today. They let it go overgrown, but I would sneak on after they closed up the pro shop, and because they were so like, not very busy, they'd close the pro shop at, like, 4 o'clock. So, I'd always do that. I would go to the driving range, pick up all the balls, and then just go hit them back into the field. Good times, good times.
But you didn't answer the question about all the your clubs, your clothes, the shoes are expensive.
I was
Like,
mowing grass. Andy's lawn care was alive and well.
mhm.
That's how I pay
So,
for it all.
okay, that's cool. So that's enough about the golf for those of you who didn't know. I wanna know if you have a pet.
I don't have a pet. I would never have a pet
Why's that?
because they cost money and they are messy.
Yes, that's true. So why don't you like animals? You don't seem to like them.
I like animals. I just don't like them as a pet. And I don't mind them as pets either. Just not my pet.
I know you've had a problem with employees that it's almost like the pet is their kid.
I just think that there are more valuable things in life to spend your time on, and time is finite. And when people care about their pet more than other human beings, I really start to question whether or not they're a dog or a cat inside. And they're just, yeah, it gets a little weird.
So let's move on to Augusta. Have you ever had to give 100% of the money back to a customer
Yeah,
after a
several
job?
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know which one I'm going to talk about right now, don't you?
Well, you just said several times, but I know one. I know of one for sure.
Yeah, the one you're thinking about is the putting green, our very first
Yes.
putting green ever installed. Um, so it didn't go very well, and he wasn't happy. So I went back and we determined that we were gonna fix it. And then I drove away, left the house. It was like a mile down the street, and I was like, "This is not worth it." So I just went back, wrote him out a check. It was like 6 grand, and just said, "Hey."
It was your own personal checkbook though. It wasn't Augusta.
Well, the business didn't have enough money. So, and I didn't want to affect the guy's profit sharing. So
Yeah.
it wasn't really fair to them that I had started this new venture of putting greens and stuff. So yeah, he got himself a free putting green. It wasn't that great of a putting green. That's why I
I
gave
know,
it to
but
him.
I remember standing in the office and whichever employee was there, I was like, he just took his own personal checkbook and went and wrote out a check for that whole job. And then it made them like feel like they were just a failure, right? But it wasn't their fault, like you said. It was a big mistake. Hey, we live and learn and we make mistakes so other people don't have to, I suppose.
True.
So what's your biggest frustration in business?
Oh no. Um, Things don't go fast enough.
Mhm.
They cost twice as much as you anticipate. And everything frustrates me. Um, it does.
To
Everything
be
frustrates
honest,
me. Well, I've told you before, I said I live my life of just mostly in constant frustration. That is the truth.
I don't know if you were quite always that way, but I think that it's because you had control of everything that you were doing. So there was no need to be frustrated really. If there was any frustration, it was because of your own failures. Now there's a
I was
ton of
plenty
people.
frustrated at myself.
Well,
I
I'm
get
sure.
frustrated myself just as much. Um, Michael is the guy that does all the bad things, and um, Mike gets frustrated with Michael a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, other people. But a part of that is expectations, like just like lowering expectations, and then you're pleasantly surprised if they do well, and realizing that no one's gonna work, what I do. So and that's fine. They shouldn't, and it's not healthy. And then secondly, is they don't have equity in the businesses. So I'm getting better, but I still live in
Mhm.
a constant state of frustration. I can just reason myself out of it so I don't show it. So you and a few closer ones see the frustration more raw because I don't guard it as much.
Mhm.
But frontline team members, they don't deserve to see that. Like in terms of like they should never have me being frustrated and showing that. So I keep it all calm and collected and like
Oh,
boxed up.
yes.
And
Yes. Nice
yeah.
little neat package. Well,
Yeah.
what's your biggest frustration with people themselves?
Um
Humans as a whole, because 'cause we'll get into the more finite
h-
business things.
Humans as a whole, I love humans. It's only business stuff that frustrates me. I
Okay,
think
so
I
what
guess
about
like selfishness. I hate selfishness.
yeah.
Um Like, humans as a whole, I'd say that's part of the thing, but that doesn't, like, frustrate me. Business stuff is frustrates me because 'cause I'm trying to, like,
Mhm.
get somewhere and do something, and it's frustrating when anything gets in the way.
So
Um
mostly people on your payroll probably or people that are impeding progress, even other people in the community. For instance, our building.
Mm. Yeah, but it's come partly like any organization, you get closer to people, you start to see their behind, like, what they're
Right.
failing not good
Yeah.
at. And so the same thing is for me. I'm sure all of them get frustrated by things that I do. And so part of being a professional is they, put a cap on it, and both from them and for me. So like I
Mhm.
try not to show that. Um but everyone has their own style. There's people that show their frustration and it works just fine. So it's
Totally.
not to say what's right or wrong, and same thing like there's some cultures that would allow frustration to be shown up and down the chain of command.
Mhm.
We don't
Mhm.
we don't typically have that as part of our kind of mode of operation. So, but yeah, it's like very normal human emotion to be frustrated. It's like what do you do about it?
Yeah. Some of
And do
our
you
viewers
channel it? I get
yes, oh, very
frustrated.
good.
Usually I'm
Very
most
good.
productive. I work out better when I'm frustrated, etc.
I remember one time you were mad at me, and it was the best running time you ever had running up the
Yep.
mountain.
Mhm.
So you're welcome.
Fantastic.
You got your PR out of my anger.
Yep.
So our listeners wanna know, they wanna
Yeah.
know what scares Mike Andes.
Ooh, scares me. Um, Well, like, it's not, like, something I think about, but it's definitely there if someone was peeling back, like, my psychology is, like, I'm definitely afraid to lose money, like,
Mhm.
to not have money.
Mhm.
Um, so I work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. What else am I afraid of? I'm definitely afraid of my family not having money either.
Mhm.
And seeing others in pain, I don't do well. I try to solve people's pain, which can be good, but also bad. So that's like
Mhm.
originally like why I was drawn to medical and surgery, and like why I enjoyed going to Africa. But I figured I can solve more pain in business and social media and things like that. Um, but I'm definitely afraid of seeing others that I love in pain. And so
Mhm.
I would say that used to be more from a health perspective, and now it's more like from a money perspective because I think that has just as much, if not more, pain caused from a numbers perspective and longevity. Like you might have pain for 10 seconds and then die, get hit by a
Mhm.
bus, but pain of finances could last decades. So, and I've seen the effects of that in businesses, in relationships, and in things that are more important than money, but it is dictated by dollars and cents. So that's the
I'll sh
small
no,
contribution
that's
I try to
good.
make to the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you don't talk about some of the things you do sometimes because you feel like, that's not what you want to portray. You don't want to portray that you've done something or you've met someone. You don't want to name drop. But you actually went and meet Kevin. You were on his plane, weren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then we had actually set up a date for him to come here because you were going to show him some real estate in the area. So why wouldn't you share that you went there and spent a day with him? Is it you don't want to be name dropping, or I did all this, or do you not want people that work for you or in Augusta Nation? Do you feel like spending that kind of money or hobnobbing with the elite, which he's not the elite, but it's just, somebody a little further beyond most of us. Why wouldn't you share those things? You didn't never showed a picture of you and him, nothing.
Um, I'd say in general, I want to be judged based upon my record, like
Mm,
wins and losses. I don't want to be
mhm,
judged based upon like there's athletes that because they're uh family, like their father or mother was successful in their
mhm,
sport, therefore they get a lot of attention. And there are people that do weird and crazy things, and for that reason, people pay more attention. There are people that have certain relationships, and therefore they get more attention.
mhm,
Um, Ultimately, when it comes to athletics, what really you want to be known for is wins and losses. That's like what separates the greats from the people who just know how to ride the next wave of attention.
mhm,
And so, I when it comes to social media and things like that, I've seen that as like a weakness for people is like to get
mhm,
sucked into that instead of wins and losses. And so that's why I've always just tried to been focused on like my businesses, what I'm doing, my team, um, and then the record will speak for itself. And so if me being with other people somehow makes me better, which I believe it does,
mhm.
make me think better, treat people better, give back more, etc. I think that should reflect in my record. And so that's what I want to work on.
Do you feel like there's anybody that you would like to meet that you've watched on social media, you've listened to a lot of their content, and you think I would just love to go to lunch with that person, just to be in their presence, just to see how they are, how they operate with their team, maybe Warren
I
Buffett,
don't
anybody like that.
I know it'd always be fun. I just like around being around great people. And
Mhm,
I would hope that I can become that person for others, that they would also aspire to be with. Like I've been around some successful people and there's definitely an energy about them, not because I know they're successful, but like the way they carry themselves. Like I really enjoy learning firsthand like that. So I don't like think about it, but like, yeah, I
mhm,
would love to, I would love to I would love to be able to provide enough value to other people to where those sort of individuals want me around. And through my experience and what I've done, that they somehow find it equitable to spend time with me because I like to be around greatness. And that's like a constant theme that I'm kind of like, I think more about now is like, I just want to be around greatness. And there's
mhm,
definitely a level of, what it be athletic greatness, political greatness, monetary greatness, business, whatever. I just want to be around people that like are not satisfied with the status quo.
mhm,
And when you get around people like that, it's very inspiring and it pushes you to become a better human being. And I just want to be around people that are wanting to become better human beings. That's all I really want to do. And so having more money, fortunately, gives you the kind of keys to do that and be around those type of people. And so if that is the entry at the price of admission for being around those people, I'm happy and willing to pay that. And that is get so many skills and experiences that they want to be in your presence and they are happy to have you in their presence and you can contribute to them. And yeah, that's like yeah, I would enjoy all of the people that you mentioned and pretty much anyone that everyone knows like that because I just want to be around greatness.
mhm. A lot of people, such as yourself, real entrepreneurs, not wannabe entrepreneurs, wishapreneurs, and those, um, they most people have somebody they can look up to, they can get together with, they can glean from their wisdom. But some people that are actually the ones creating and putting new things out there that nobody's ever heard of and brand new ideas, and then training people to facilitate their vision and create these things and get them out there to the public. It's a lonely life. And there's a saying that it's lonely at the top. And that's because those people have no one above them or just in the vicinity of them physically that they can be with and have conversations with. And for a long time, when you would talk, you would be like, it really is the burden of command with so much of what you have to bear and deal with. And you would say, there's just nobody at my level or above that I can really talk to. And so in this past year, you've been really blessed to have Dr. Cashy come into your life, and not all of us can have somebody at his level. And I've often thought, would I want to have Dr. Cashy as a coach? And many people that we know and the franchisees would say, oh, I'd love to have Dr. Cashy as a coach. But what I've observed is, first of all, he doesn't take just anyone. And most of us aren't even in the place that we would have the kind of questions or have the kind of life and things going on that it would be even wise for us to spend that kind of money to have him as a coach. But we had the privilege of getting to go to dinner for him with him. He wanted to come up and kind of see you in your element and the things you and he had worked on for your speeches, and it was pretty impactful. And then when we went to dinner, he asked me how you have changed or what I felt the benefits from the coaching, what I had seen in you. But when we both came away from dinner, we didn't we didn't we talked about the dinner, the people that were there and all of that, but there was a takeaway that both of us noticed separately about him and his wife. And I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yes, Desiree is his wife. I was very grateful and humbled that they would show up to the event, especially because we had only been working together for a couple months. Um, and Dr. Cash is an amazing, amazing person, and definitely like in a league ahead of me by far. And so is and around other individuals that are far leagues ahead of me. And that's always it brings out the best in
Mhm.
kind of like my curiosity. So I was wiped out at the dinner, but like I knew what I needed to do in that moment.
Yeah.
And that was like I needed to show like elevate the other people in at the table. And yeah, so in terms of what we both noticed was the respect between the two of them. Respect, from her to him and from, him to her. And then I later on talked about with him and just saw, why is that and, learn more from that perspective. And I think that, personal relationships is something I can work at, in general. And so I want to be able to carry that over into, my current and future, whether it be personal or business relationships. And that level of respect between the two of them was definitely, we could feel it both.
Mhm.
And so, and then I've seen other people that he interacts with, that are married have that dynamic. And so it's something that I was, aware of and want to learn his thoughts on that.
So we've held a certain opinion and heard it from others that when you're in a relationship and you have your husband and wife, you're running a business together, that when you leave the business, that you should have a boundary, you should have a separation, you should say, oh, now we're doing the kids and we're doing the family thing. But something interesting that I noticed that Alex and Layla talk about, and I think you've talked about with Dr. Cashy, which has kind of changed your opinion a little bit, I think, is that the reason Alex fell in love with Layla, his first attraction was her brain, her intelligence, and her acumen for business. And that's what attracted him. And later on, they came to love one another. But Dr. Cashy had said to you, that is, if that's the attraction for people, they really should look for that in someone where they don't have a separate life. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like, I asked about him and his wife, and you know, um, I don't know how much things he would like me to say publicly, so I just gotta
Right,
be
right. You
careful.
don't have to say any of those.
Yeah, so uh, essentially, the thought process is like, if the only thing I really care about talking about is essentially 90% business,
Mhm.
and the person that I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with doesn't like business, we might have a
Mhm.
problem when I take her out for dinner because there's not gonna be much I
That's
wanna
right.
talk about other than business. And so,
But most would say that you would go to dinner, you shouldn't talk about business anyway, but then you wouldn't really have
be boring.
anything to talk about. Yeah.
That'd be boring. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like, it's just a matter of, like, people demonize it and call it, they have try to do work-life balance and stuff, and so, if your life is, work and life is something you enjoy both elements, and you can make your life a profitable work, like, you can merge these 2 things and you enjoy it, like, I don't enjoy playing golf anymore, so therefore, I don't play any golf. Like,
Mhm.
I don't enjoy snowboarding, I used to snowboard all the time. Like, I don't do it anymore.
Mhm.
And if that changes, and that's the thing too. Like, some people, they get married, they have a bunch of kids, and, like, they just wanna spend time with their kids. Fantastic. Like,
Mhm.
that's your thing. Um, Currently in my life, all I wanna do is business. That will
Mhm.
likely change the same way that I used to play golf all the time.
Right.
Um, but I just don't see a world in which I could have much in common with somebody. And his point was, if like all the person's going to do is like take care of the kids and take care of the house, it's like get a maid. Right?
Right, right,
Like,
right.
you don't need to go have a wife if that's all you're trying to get out of. So, like, there should be, like, a spiritual connection and emotional connection and things outside of just, like, we live together. And
Mhm.
so, if that attraction is physical only, that will diminish in time. And so, whether it be someone like Layla and Alex who have a definitely, like, a business first approach to their relationship, and they made the conscious decision to say, "Hey, we're
Mhm.
gonna flip this and make the relationship more important, and it'll actually serve the business little do they know in the long term." That'd be super cool. I think building something with someone else is a very cool thing, and you can build a family, you can build a relationship, you can build that on that element. But building a business is like it's like having a kid.
Mhm.
um and yes, it can split people apart the same way that kids can split people apart. And I think in the past I thought more along the lines of like she'd have her world, I'd have my world, because I hear a lot of people talk about that, and obviously I had more
Yeah.
experience. So it's like you're trying to like, hey, what's going to be the right dynamic for me? So like it was much more a matter of like I'll find someone that's gonna like take care of the house and like do everything that a mom should do. And I think that definitely valuable. But I don't think I would be able to feel super fulfilled in that because I don't have anything in common with that. And so I don't know because I haven't gone that path. And
Right.
so it's just an interesting thought that more recently I'm like, I'm definitely open to having someone that's involved in the businesses. Dr. Cashy's thought process is like maybe she comes on the turnarounds and helps do the video or like some sort of the
Yeah.
production side, since that's a part I do not enjoy traveling or anything like that. So, it's just something to think about. And, the good thing about a coach is they challenge your previously held,
Mhm.
thoughts on things. And that's what he's good at.
I heard Alex this morning talking very candidly about that. And he said, because our first attraction was business, then we make this vow for the rest of our life. He said, if she changed interests and wanted to do something that wasn't business, he said, I almost feel like I would have to release her from the vows and the promises that we made because that was what was the center of our relationship. So I just thought that was interesting. Over time, we hear different perspectives that can change some of our views or what we thought we wanted to do forever. You mentioned recently that you were a very selective gift giver. And I know that you don't feel obligated at birthdays or whatever. I know sometimes I'll be like, I mean, we're working these long hours, and then I'll say, oh, I got to bring food and I got to go get a gift. And you'll go, why? I'm like, because it's the person's birthday. He goes, you don't buy something for somebody just because it's their birthday. And we've had a lot of back and forth about that. But I did notice, like, especially this year at Christmas, that you had specific people that mean a lot to you, and next year people that mean a lot to you, different ones in our family and friends. um you just seem to have a connection with them, and you want to get them something. What is your thought process about not buying everybody gifts, or what makes it special that you selectively reach out to certain people with presents at Christmas and birthdays and such?
Well, I believe that it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. And I actually believe that in that you get better feeling by giving. Um, and so My thought process on this is I never will buy anything out of obligation. Um, and so if I ever feel like, "Oh, I should do that," I don't do it.
Mhm.
Like, "Oh, I should get them a gift. I should do this." Like, I'm not gonna buy anything or give money to people based on obligation. Um, I will get them a gift if it serves me well. And it serves me well if I get a good feeling by giving the gift. This is why, like, the whole notion of philanthropy is not them giving money. And yes, you could say there's tax benefits and stuff like that. It is a matter of the feeling they get. They're buying the feeling that they gave to an organization or a cause or something they
Mhm.
believe in. And so when it comes to myself, like, I am very aware of that, and I know that, like, I will feel great if I give this gift to somebody. I will not feel great if I give this gift out of obligation.
Yeah.
I will feel good though if I know it's making a meaningful impact in their life. I usually get the most satisfaction if no one else knows about it and they don't know it's
Mhm.
me. That's usually the most satisfaction because
Yeah.
now it's like I get pure joy instead of having anything attached to it. Similar if you were to give to
Yeah.
an organization and you don't expect you do it anonymously and you don't get any like tax return or benefit from it, that in my opinion you get extract the most joy from this transaction. So in my opinion it's actually relatively selfish the way I give, and that is whatever is going to serve me the best. And what's going to serve me is seeing them happy, seeing
Mhm.
a certain change that I'm trying to see happen, solving one of their problems, and like I said before, like solving someone's pain. If I can do that with money, like that speaks a lot to me. Um, and if I love them, fantastic. But I don't really like the familial thing doesn't really matter. It's like if I feel that I should give this money to somebody and I feel like that transaction is going to net me positive the way I feel afterwards by solving their pain or whatever, then I'll do it. But I literally there's times like the exact same thing might happen and I won't feel that way. And
Mhm.
it doesn't cross my mind that I should give them money or solve their problem. So it is very much of just like how I feel. I don't know how to
Right.
like synthesize it, but I do believe that giving is an exchange of value and you do get a lot when you give. And it's not like, oh, I'm like just generous person. No, like you get a great feeling, you get something that is intangible, the same way that, in a loving relationship, you get intangible benefits of satisfaction and security, etc. I think the same thing is true when you give. And when you give to somebody, without anything in return, expectation of anything in return, and they can't give you anything in return.
Mhm.
I do believe that unlocks like a level of the feeling of abundance instead of scarcity, instead of holding on to everything to yourself. And I do believe that's why, as people become very wealthy, if they're giving, they actually accelerate their wealth because
Yes.
they have something to give. They now accelerate their giving and it unlocks, like, oh, like I must produce more. And I must continue to give. And this is why someone like, Bill Gates is giving away hundreds of billions of dollars. And I know he has a spotty track record, but like people like him that give so much away, they don't like go poor. They get more and more and more money. And it's in part because of if I can give, it means I have in excess. And if I can
Mhm.
unlock my mindset to be there's a place of abundance and I come from a place of abundance and excess and I
Mhm.
have enough to give instead of I must contract and I must pull to myself. I think that's there are plenty of people that are rich that feel like that do that and they actually keep this mentality of scarcity that keeps them from their full potential. So,
That is phenomenal. Most people are trying to figure out what credit card they can put everything on to buy the one more gift they're feeling obligated to give. We just got through Christmas, which is why I asked that. You're actually my last interview of the year. How do you think it is for business owners? I know how most of them probably feel. They're at an event, they're with their family. It's Christmas, somebody's birthday, or you're just hanging with your family, but you've got this thing going on in the business that's pretty overwhelming. It's actually something you should be attending to right then, but you need to be with the family in that. What has your stance been on? For instance, when you got together with your family at Christmas this year, do they sense that you have other things going on that are more important? Do they see you looking at your phone? How do you handle yourself in those situations when you are with your family, but for instance, now we've got Copilot and a lot can happen with that at times. So where's the balance for someone in your specific situation with multiple businesses?
Well, you have to ask them how they feel, so I can't speak for them on that. But I don't really think about it. I have been clear with my family as to why I am so focused on the businesses. I've had to apologize at times when I feel like am too separated. Um, and I've been clear as to why I'm doing it and why, like this time of like period of my life, why I'm staying super focused. So I'll let them know, like, hey, these next 3 months, I'm drilling in on this. You're not going to see me a lot. Um, but when I'm with them, I try my best to be more present and go 100% there. And if I can't show up and be 100% present, I try not to be there. And that's kind of
Mhm.
how I've looked at it. So like if I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be with the kids. I'm going to keep my full attention there. But like, hey, I'm tired. Like if we're gonna meet in the evening and there's not like business stuff happening, I'm gonna get tired.
Yeah.
So they're very, very gracious, but it's also been like me communicating very directly and being like,
Mhm.
"Hey, this is my season of life. This is why I'm doing this." And obviously, they see the benefits of that too, and try to take care of them. Um, and that's like my part I can play. Like some people bake for their family. Some people are super loving and supportive, and like offer. They're there for every single birthday and all the rest of it. I happen to be able to be the person that solves money problems. And so
Mhm.
that's just the part I play, and I'm happy to do that. And I don't think I'm any better than the person that gives out hugs every other day
Right.
to every person in the family because they're offering and contributing to the team in a different way.
Yeah, so I observed you this Christmas, and we are in business together. For those of us, those are the people that don't know, we're related. And so we are at the same family gatherings, at least for Christmas, which everyone there, and we had all the kids. And, neither of us were on our phone. Neither of us ever talked about business once. We were just all about the family, all about the kids, all about making it special. And we know there's only a limited amount of time, so typically, do you budget time? Like, I'm going to appear at this birthday party for my nephew. I'll stay for 1 hour and I'll leave. And you feel like you've come and in the time you're there, you focus 100% on that individual. Does that feel like it's enough? Like, does that person feel, you think, very happy that Uncle Mike just showed up and they don't feel any loss from that?
I would hope so. I think that most people, in terms of, like, thinking about in terms of, like, depth and width, I think a lot of us have a lot of volume and width of interaction with other
Yeah.
humans, whether it be family or employees. And so what I've tried to focus on is I am not gonna be able to win the width game in terms of, like, being there all the time, whether it be team
Yeah.
members or family. But
Hmm.
I think meaningful moments with a team member, you might see them one time a year, but if you have a meaningful moment with them, they'll remember that forever.
Yes.
And I think that those meaningful moments are more important and more impactful than a whole bunch of other moments that are inconsequential. So I try to have impactful moments, and I just know that I'll have to go deeper, and I cannot be the width uncle. Like, I can't be
Yeah.
everything, I can't be that involved, but when I'm with them, like, I do like, the kids, family, same thing with team members, like, I can't do one-on-ones now, like, I can't do the hiring, I can't
Mhm.
be at most meetings, but, like, I do believe the 1 or 2 interactions I might have with them in the break room or, when they're going through a tough time, if I can drop by their desk and say something or send them a video and on their birthday or, when they're going through a rough time, I think that's more meaningful. And there's
Mhm.
team members I have never talked to, and then I leave a video for them when I know they're going through a tough time, mostly because reports from you or someone else in operations, and I know that's probably more meaningful to them than me talking to them every single day about their
Yeah,
life.
for sure.
And so, I can't win that game, and so it's no one that I won't beat myself up for, and I'll just try to, you know, do it the best I can.
So quality over quantity, I suppose.
Well, because I lack quantity, I will have to make up for it in quality.
Oh, yes, and you're such a quality person. So I just have a few more questions for you. So when you talk to so many business owners, you deal with the franchisees, you have the masterminds every day with questions from the
Finally, we're
franchisees.
talking about business instead of
Oh,
Michael.
yes. But it's
Goodness
the
gracious.
man who makes it all, the man, the myth, the legend, Michael Joel. Yes, as he's writing things down that he needs to take care of. I have a question. What are the things that you feel like you could pound into business owners' heads that you see them consistently not do or do that's causing them to fail?
Focusing on the wrong things, um, in their business. So they think they need to grow their business in order for it to be better. When it's like, no, you should not grow your business. You should make your close ratio go up and you should stop spending money on marketing. So a lot of times just focusing on the wrong things. They
Mhm.
actually are aware of the problem or the mistake or issue in their business, but they're just focusing on something else. And so I think most people know what to do. It's just a matter of prioritization, and it's a matter of then give me the steps to actually take action on that thing that should be priority. So I think that's probably the number one thing is I'd say people are focused on the wrong thing. So they're focused on growth when they should be focused on profitability. They're
Mhm.
focused on um, buying more trucks and equipment or getting debt when they should be focused on their team, developing their team. They're focused on hiring more people when they should just focus on their current team and trying to make them better and invest better more in them. So I just say in general, just lack of accuracy on what they're focused on.
And what about employees? And I don't mean employees that you don't have a lot of contact with. I mean people that walk close to you, they work closely with you. So, for instance, if you had people like me, Chuck, um, some of the others that we deal with on a regular basis that are closer to you and kind of know how you roll and things. What are the things that you look at the people that are closest to you in your circle and you see limitations? So for instance, you'll tell me that that kind of thinking is never going to get you anywhere. You need to think like this. What are the frustrations that you see in those closest to you that you wish they could just break through to move along with you as we're going? Do you have any of those?
I don't really think about that. Um, Everyone can improve, including myself. Ideally, we create a culture in which someone could say something to me if they think I can improve at something, and I can say something to them if I think they should be able to improve in something, and that we're not pointing guns at each other, but we're just trying to move the ball down the field. Um, so I don't usually get like specific like things that frustrate me about specific people. I just am in general a
Mhm.
pretty easily to frustrate, and so I've just had to get better at like we talked about already, like reining that in, and then isolating as to whether or not I was responsible. Like being frustrated is actually like my problem, because usually if it's a direct report, it is I set the expectation incorrectly, or I did not give them the resources, or I did not give them the tools to get the job done. So the only time I can actually be disappointed in a direct report is if I have given them all the tools, all the resources, given them a blank check and told them to make all decisions, and then they failed in doing so. And so usually my direct reports, if they've gotten to that point, like they've proven themselves to be pretty pretty awesome. And
Mhm.
I've never had to like have that, fortunately with a direct report. But yeah, I don't think about that very much. It's like either like, look, you're doing a great job. I'm gonna trust you with everything I have, and you can, die in your own sword if you're gonna mess something up. Um, or I don't trust you, and you're never gonna become a direct report. Like, yeah, and so like I'm always looking at who creates Slack and who picks Slack up. That's like a telltale sign to me who I want to work with. Like when everything is overwhelmed and I'm in the spring rush, like people like you, Chuck, Lee, they step in. Like they're like, yeah, let's just get this done. And so, in the middle of spring rush when it's Friday afternoon and there's 600 estimates still to be done at command center, like you stay until it's like, well, it's not until it's done, but like you and I would stay till 9, 10 o'clock at night and doing estimates ourselves for the franchisees.
Mhm.
And so I look at that and like that's someone who's picking up slack. And so I am willing to put up with other frustrations that might be there. And I'm not thinking anything specifically for yourself, but in terms of I am willing to put up with other things that I might see as quote unquote flaws or
Mhm.
lacking because they are willing to pick up slack and they do not create slack for others. And that person usually can handle more because they're not creating slack and they're picking up more slack from other people that are putting slack down. That's like the thing I'm looking for.
So typically that kind of person is gonna be self-aware enough that they can read you and know, "Okay, something's not cool here. I messed up somewhere." And we actually had a time like that where it was a few months later. So we went through spring rush. I thought I was doing everything right. I was putting 200% into it and we made it through, but it was like multiple months later and we were talking about it and you said I said
I don't know.
something about
I don't know what you're gonna say right now.
you don't?
No.
Okay, this is great then. So it should be that the person themselves realizes what they did wrong, but I didn't. So I thought I had done everything as good as I could. I thought I did everything you wanted. And then I said something about how could I be better or my frustrations at command or something. And you said, well, you didn't say you weren't accusatory. You said the things I said to be done didn't happen. And I'm like, what are those? And so you start to list things that you had wanted to see in Spring Rush.
Oh, yeah, I
And you
remember this.
said, and you're like, and what I said didn't happen. So it wasn't like you didn't do it, whatever. But like I got so mad, like I I did the best I could. I was trying. We were running down the mountain and I am bawling my eyes out and you're way, way behind because you, anyway, I'm a slower runner. So I'm hiking back down and then you're going to pass me pretty soon. But I was pretty upset and I was actually texting you while we were coming down the mountain and then you're like you asked and so I had disappointed you, but you weren't really thinking she disappointed me. You were thinking I wanted this stuff to happen and it didn't happen. So I guess it comes down to if the owner has those kind of people around him, you're hoping that they will pick up on it themselves and then self correct. So I have self corrected so extremely that I've hired a lot of people for the spring and overhired maybe, I don't know, but we're going to dominate the game. So you're hoping that those kind of people close to you are the kind of people that can self-correct and do better than their owners even expecting. So yeah, lots of learning experiences to share with our people. So what are your things in your employees that you're frustrated when you don't see?
Do you want me to comment on what you just talked about? Because now I remember what was going
Sure,
on.
I would love, I think people would really love for you to share.
Okay. All right. So, in my opinion, great human beings don't like to know step 1 through 10 of how to get to a certain destination. I think if I was that way, you would have left, Chuck would have left, Lee would have left. If I was just like, hey, I want this, this, and this, and done. Here's your checklist every day. I want you to tell me when it's done. And here's the goals for this year, and here's exactly how to reach them. Like you guys would leave because you're entrepreneurial and you would want to go seek out more challenge. And so, I typically do speak in broad terms of what I want done, and then I do expect the same way I expect of myself to hit the goals, I do expect, the team to hit the goals.
Mhm.
And so like even like our more recent leadership meeting, like I gave kind of like directives. Sorry, like it sounds like I'm some like dictator, but it's more a matter of like, hey, this needs to get done, and like you have a blank check, and it can like just make it happen. And I know to some people that would seem either daunting or like I'm just like blindly like giving you a
Trusting these
directive.
people. Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah, well, yeah. So it's more a matter of I do trust you, and I know that the challenge of reaching that goal is why you stick around. And the reason it would be so painful and hard for you is because you do care. and you do want to see the goal happen. Um, and that's why you're my direct report. Like for other people that if I would say that, they instead of feeling bad, they'd become retaliatory, or they would say, okay, I'm just gonna quit. Well, if that's your reaction when someone draws you up short on not reaching a goal, you probably aren't great. Um, and I define great as an individual who can pick up slack and not create
Mhm.
slack for others. And so when I give a directive, I don't usually give a lot of feedback throughout because people make mistakes and they course correct, and that's part of learning. And doing that on your own, in my opinion, is very valuable. That's why people say, like, when it comes to business owners, like, oh, like you didn't fail, you learned. Well, the same can be true for a mid-level manager or a direct report, and that is like they need to learn too. And so me just jumping in all the time isn't good.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would see flaws or things that should be done differently. But first off, I don't have all the context. So I don't have the right to jump in and say my opinion. And secondly, I have given the directive and said, go do it. And so, however, someone gets to getting that done, I don't care. And so, I try my best for people who are great to blindly trust, give blank checks, and then see what they do. And most of the time, that's how I see if I was an employee, that's how I'd want to be treated. And so for some people, that's not how they want, and that they're usually not going to be a direct report to me because I don't have the time to micromanage you or tell you what you're doing right and wrong all the time. I want to be able to tell you the goalpost, give you a blank check, and then you go figure it out. And so, yeah, I don't know if that was a good comment or not, but
Well, most people, when you make the comment, you have a blank check. Most people would like, "Oh, yeah, I can do this."
no,
And
it's
the
covering
thing
my butt
is, it's
because
more
I don't
so.
want any excuses. I don't want any excuses. So by
Yes,
saying blank check,
100%.
I can come back to you and I can say, I told you to spend whatever you wanted. That is why I say the blank check thing. But it's also true.
Oh,
And if you're gonna say that, like I am willing to forego expense if I want something done. And
right, but that seems like such a nice thing to say, but what you're asking, you're saying, "Basically, I'm asking you to do something that's not humanly possible, and here's a blank check. Now go get it done." And
Yeah,
I'm
but see,
thinking,
that's what
"Where's the
you crave.
nearest trash
That's what
can to
that's what
puke
great people
into?"
crave. That's what great people crave is the ability to go after something that would otherwise be impossible. That's what great people want. Average people want a checklist and they want to have a system to get it done and they want it repeated day in and day out. In specific, this one was I said I want to crush the spring rush. I don't care what the cost is. I want people twiddling their thumbs by the middle of the spring rush. And that was the part that I was coming back to you at because you asked for my feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that when Lee and Chuck heard that, it's more like, yeah, yeah. And you're just like holding it in and you just want to go throw up. Like he just said something that he wants done that's impossible, but somehow we pull it off. And that's what we're going to do.
I believe it. Yeah.
So I
I
have
would
one
not be
last
able to
question.
retain great people without that mentality, in my opinion. It's the way I would want to be treated. It's the only way now I know how to judge others because that's the way I feel. So if I tried to be something other than that, I would have a bad measuring stick because I wouldn't feel that way. And that's why I think that Augusta, Copa, et cetera, there can be entrepreneurs inside the company because that's the way that an entrepreneur runs. Is like there's this massive target. I must achieve it at all costs, and I can do whatever is necessary to get there. And so I feel like if we have a bunch of people inside the organization thinking the same way, we'll achieve more in the same amount of time.
Yeah, we might be having our funeral like, a week later, but we got it done.
Yeah. You might as well wear out and not rust out.
Yep. So when I actually interview people, I say to them, it's not like we're given a manual here. We're building this thing together. Nobody gave Jeff Bezos a manual to build Amazon. So, one last question for you. It's not that profound, but what do
Mm.
you think your biggest lack in people skills is?
Oh man. Okay, so I have a few. The first one I'm trying to get better at, and that's listening. Not very good at listening. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to be the last person to talk.
Well, all
So
you have to do is listen to Grant Cardone and you'll be determined you never want to be like that. That'll make you a better
Yeah, well, I'm
listener.
not that bad, I'm not that bad. Or Gary. Um, I would like to become a better listener. I need to improve at that. I need to improve at, not being as frustrated. I show my emotions pretty and I think honestly, as I've become more successful, I actually show my emotions more, which is probably good in some ways and then bad in others. Um,
But it's
so I need
allowable at a certain point.
you mean for like, way as you make more money?
No, I would say as you become more respected, it's for the people around you, they're like, "Oh, he can definitely say that." You're not being a jerk, but you're able to show your frustration
Yeah,
more
but it
and
should never be based on money. Like, I don't think that by making more money, it should give anyone more entitlement to be able to express negative emotion.
right,
So,
but you've earned respect from these people, so they're fine if you show your frustration.
yeah, but you can always improve. And I think that I need to become better at when to show that negative emotion and then when I
Mhm.
need to like, pull it together.
Yeah.
And it's mostly the people who work close to me. Like, I don't think 95% of the team gets that vibe. But like, when I'm mad.
Mhm.
People that sit close to me, like they know when I'm just locked in and like I'm annoyed. I get annoyed
Mhm.
very easily. I don't like inefficiencies. I don't like wasting time. I don't like when people waste my time. I don't like when people ask me dumb questions. I don't like when people ask me questions that I know they know the answers to. So I get annoyed, and I can become better at channeling that, and creating systems to make sure that those things don't happen. But in terms of communication, one would be listening, two would be being better at channeling when to be frustrated and when to show that, because I do think there's a sense, like, there's a good time to show frustration, and I have
Yeah,
seen it, like,
totally.
when I am able to pull it out at certain times, like, the team just goes to a whole different level, and
Definitely.
I just think you can't abuse that. It's like giving a spanking
Mhm.
to a kid. It's like, it can be
Yeah.
really, really impactful and helpful, but if you always are doing it, now it becomes beating and, like, the kid doesn't want love you at all, right?
Yeah.
So, I it's horrible to think of, like, getting frustrated as a spanking. That's a bad analogy, but, um I need to be better at like reining that in. I am pretty moody. I would like to improve in that area. And it's always based on business, like all the time. So I can improve in those two areas for sure.
Yeah, so I appreciate your time today. It's the end of the year. There's a lot going on, especially with Copilot right now. And you keep looking to my right and your left.
Yeah, there's a
You
bunch
want
of
to tell
people
us what's
signing up.
going on
Yeah, I have
for
all
Copilot?
everyone signing up. Yeah.
Oh, that's a
We got
problem. It's such a
yeah,
problem.
Miles Lawn Service, Grow and Mow, 10x Better Lawn, Landmark Lawn Care. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. Very good.
Yikes. Yeah, you've got your own impossible task going on to try to help your
My head
people
is
help
hurting because
people.
I've been sitting here for 4.5 hours, 11 o'clock to 4:30. What's that? Five and a
Five
half
and a
hours of
half
sitting with
hours.
these stupid lights on. So I feel like I have two nails just driven through my temple right now. It's great.
100%. Yeah. And I've been at command since 6:30 this morning. I'm hungry. So I'll let you go because I'm like a baby on a feeding schedule and I need food.
Sounds
Thanks for
good.
your
Thank you
time.
for
Much
interviewing me
appreciated.
on the Liz Neighbor channel.
You're welcome. I will make you famous.
I thought you were going to cut it right there. Bye.
I'm going to cut it now. Bye.
Okay. Okay, cool. Are you going to